All right, let's talk about why this matters. Let's talk about relevance. Tim, go ahead. Here's what Moore's Law has done. The most obvious point is that we went from something that was big and limited to something that was very small and very powerful. All right, continuing. Here's one of the big ones. When you used to listen to music, you had to do it in one spot. If you were going to use your computer, it was big, it was bulky, and there it was. You had to go to it. Now you've got incredible portability and more power in the portable device than oftentimes what used to be in the big, boxy device. I don't know if you noticed this trend in everything in terms of the iTouch, the iPhone, the iPad. It went from a single-use device. I used Macintosh computers in high school to type papers. That is the extent of what I used them for. And we printed up on a dot matrix printer, and that was called English class. All right, that's what we did. So now you went from a single use to a multifunction device. So they showed a commercial for the iPhone 4S. What did they not actually show the phone doing? Calling. Because who calls people? Don't call me. All right, who calls people? The iPod Touch. When did they, in that 30-second commercial, when did they actually show people interacting with music? About 25 seconds into the commercial. What were they doing all the other times? Texting. It was a social element. It was almost like, here's an iPod Touch, but you think iPod plays music. No, an iPod can play music. It can also do all these other things. It's the same with an iPad. It's the same with, so this multifunction device, I don't wear a watch anymore. So evidently I'm young and hip like Robinson's daughter, right? It's like, well, I don't need a watch because I have it on my phone. I have it on my iPod. I have it on my iPad. Or anybody else around me has the time. I don't need to wear a watch, all right? So there's a whole new shift in thinking. Next one, Tim, if you would. When you used to get a device, that $600 cell phone, all it did was make calls. That was it. So if you wanted to make calls somewhere, that was great. Live the dream. But that's all it could do. And you couldn't alter it. You couldn't change it. You can find out a lot about me if you were to take a look through my iPhone or my iPad or my laptop. Because I've customized it. You could tell what my favorite sports teams are. You can tell what my wife looks like and see what my kids look like. You can tell what kind of music I listen to. You'll know a lot about me informationally because I've customized the device, right? And that's part of the fun of it. It also created this whole idea of technology as a personal profile. And that's what we have to be really careful. Next one, Tim. When you used to get a device, video game. So when I got video games in the 80s, Centipede, Defender, Dig Dug, Pac-Man, Hall of Fame games from the 80s. 80s dorks unite, all right? The only people you could interact with were the people in the room, and you were limited by the number of controllers that the device would allow you. Now, Xbox Live, you interact with people all the time that you've never met. And for example, a Blu-ray player. Why do you buy a Blu-ray player? So you can watch DVDs in high definition. What does my Blu-ray player come with? Pandora, Hulu, Amazon, Netflix. I have a 50, 60 web-enabled apps on my, what I was thinking originally was a single-function device. When I turned on my Blu-ray player and it asked me, do you want to sign up for, I was like, what? There's more? Right? I felt like my mom for a second there. How do you put the tape in? Okay, so now you have an open system. It's very interactive. You can interact with technology in a way that you've never had abilities to. But that brings with it pros and cons, which is what we'll talk about later. And finally,